everyone. Welcome to Healthy Waves, the podcast where we dive deep into the conversations with the incredible experts to explore how we can create healthier, happier, and more resilient lives. I'm your host Avik, and today we are talking about a topic that hits home for so many of us: how to avoid emotional and mental burnout while also staying on track with your health goals. So, whether you are striving to build a stronger body, nurture your sharper mind, or find a greater sense of balance, so then we all know the challenge of staying on track without feeling overwhelmed. To help us uncover the answers, I'm joined by three phenomenal guests who bring unique perspectives to the table. So, I'll quickly start introducing you all with our lovely guest today. Gil Barry. So, dear listeners, Gil is the founder of NPS Fitness and a true force of nature in the world of personal development and the fitness. Uh, Gil's all about turning individuals into warriors who conquer life's challenges with a savage mindset. So he's transformed his own life from the grip of addiction to one of disciplined living, self mastery, and also daily habits that push limits. So, Gil, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Avik. It's a pleasure to be here. Nice speaking with you.
Lovely, lovely. So, dear listeners, on the other hand, we have Ali. So, I can call you Ali, right?
Yep, that's great.
Yeah, great. So, Ali Essig, uh, dear listeners, Ali is a plant based nutritionist, Pilates instructor, and the founder of Plant Wise. So, her personal journey began with her husband's health crisis, which inspired her mission to empower families to live healthier lives. So, she's here to share how small, sustainable shifts like eating plant based can transform both our health and the energy levels. So, Ali, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Lovely, lovely. And dear listeners, we have Darlene with us. So, Darlene is a medical intuitive, cosmic mediator, and medium with over 35 years of experience. So, she specializes in helping people uncover the clarity and the purpose in health, relationships, spirituality, even exploring the impact of past lives on the present. So,
Thank you for
Darlene, your work is fascinating. Welcome to the show.
Yes.
Great, great. So, so we are discussing about a great topic. So I'll start with breaking through the burnout. I'll quickly come to Gil. Like, um, you have transformed your life by implementing a disciplined mindset and non-negotiable daily habits. So, what do you think is the biggest mental hurdle that holds people back from staying consistent with their health goals?
Well, for staying consistent and holding your back, it's definitely your daily habits. Once you get in a groove of the daily habits and seeing the results and you're feeling great, mind, body, and soul is reaping the benefits and the rewards of eating right, working out daily, doing reading and reflection, having a spiritual relationship with the universe. Then you start feeling the vibration, feeling the energy, your frequency is raised. And in my case, I battled with addiction and I had a lot of regret in my life, a lot of disappointment, a lot of feeling of letting myself down, letting my family down, and letting people down, which I was drowning out through alcohol and various substances. And I had to look in the mirror and say, Gil, you're the problem. I had to identify the problem and then eliminate it. But then once it's eliminated, I had to fill the time or else I get bored. And that's when the itch comes back to,
Mm.
to use the negative, fill the time with negativity instead of positivity. So for me, creating a program of daily habits, dropping all the vices, waking up extremely early to challenge myself, to have that alone time, participating in daily reading and reflection of personal development, mentality, mindset, reading, journaling for myself, then diving into a strenuous physical workout to put myself in that high state of frequency, that high vibration, and then eating good the rest of the day, really dialing in on my macros and becoming addicted to doing healthy things, filling my life with positive stuff. And then once I created that program and how good I felt, I knew it was time to share it with the world and
Mhm.
it could help anybody. So creating the best version of yourself and dialing in that program and sticking with those daily habits, feeling good about yourself, getting addicted to the positivity in life and being aligned with your purpose and living conscious congruent, that's going to help you stay consistent because you're going to enjoy it. It's not going to be a burdensome thing. It's going to be something you enjoy and you're going to feel positive. Your relationships are going to improve. Your relationship with yourself's going to improve. Your self-esteem will improve. And you'll have that self-love to where
Mm.
you're enjoying what you're doing. It's not something where you're looking to break the habit or to break into the negativity. You're reaping the benefits and the rewards and loving the positivity.
Mm. Wow, lovely. Yeah. And so I'll come to like on this, I'll come to Darlin. So Darlin, like you have worked with countless individuals to help them find the clarity and the balance. So from an intuitive perspective, how do unresolved emotions or maybe the past experiences contribute to burnout?
Well, I agree with Gil that you need the commitment
Mhm.
first. You need something that drives you to stay stable, wanting to know more about yourself. But the emotional level, when stress or trauma hits, there's always an emotional component to that. So what I know to be true for me as well as for others that I've worked with is that when you identify that emotional blockage or you identify the patterns or belief that started you on this path of whatever you're dealing with in present day, that when you identify that, you understand it better, you sometimes heal it because there's many ways to heal the past in some way, change it in some way, and bring that energy forward. Then what happens is you have more energy. So you can avoid, the deeper you can go with emotions in some way is better for how you stay stable present day because you understand yourself better. And so you have that commitment that what Skill's talking about to perform in a way, to do your exercise, to eat well, to all of that, because maybe you have a sabotaging part of yourself that keeps you from that. But if you understand where that saboteur comes from, whether it's in this lifetime or another lifetime, and some people's belief system doesn't go back to past lives, which is fine because you always have the element here. It doesn't just jump from where you are present day back to a past life. There's always something that happened here in this life that brings up that pattern or that saboteur or whatever you're working on. So staying with that, understanding it. Oh, there was an abuse when I was 2 or 3. You may not even recognize that, but it'll start to bring up what was happening in your family. What patterns did you pick up even from your mother and father that may not even be yours? Right? Because they're cultural, they're ancestral trauma. There's things like that that can come through. And once you understand it, I believe that it really helps the present day so that you can see more of who you are. We're multidimensional beings, so we can see more of who we are and have been that can provoke and provide healing.
Okay, okay, understood. Thanks for sharing this. And so like this, like creating resilient habits. So I'll come to Ali, right? uh, Ali, as a busy mom of six and a nutritionist, you have mastered the art of balancing a hectic schedule while also staying on the track. So how can someone integrate healthy habits into a busy life without feeling like uh, they are sacrificing their sanity?
Uh-huh. It's a great question. I love how Darlene brought up sabotage because I feel like one of the ways that we self-sabotage is thinking that it has to be all or nothing. That it's that dichotomous thinking. It's like I'm either all in or I'm all out. And any mom knows that like you can't control everything. Like you can have your goals for the day and this is what's going to happen. And then you have a sick child who you're up all night. Like your whole plan is just out the window. And so just being flexible and recognizing that, some days you may need to rest, some days you may need to, you know, uh, to go off a different track, but it doesn't mean that you're all in or all out. It means that, okay, we try again the next day and we continue to do it. We continue to work on ourselves. We continue to keep trying. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's all about, progress over perfection. And you can't control every circumstance, but you can control, what's possible now in this moment. How can we, instead of reaching for the unhealthy snacks because we're tired, sometimes it's even helpful to think, okay, I'm hungry now because, and if you think, okay, I'm hungry because I'm truly hungry, or I'm hungry because I'm actually really stressed. I want food right now because my kid was just screaming at me. I want food right now because I didn't get enough sleep last night. Just understanding if it's an emotional hunger or is it physical hunger, I think is a huge part to just helping you stay on track and just being aware. You don't even have to be perfect. Just be aware, because awareness is 80% of the game, and being okay with flexibility.
Wow, lovely, great. Thanks for sharing this. And also, like, you often talk about sustainable plant-based eating. So, what's the simple first step for someone new to this lifestyle?
Yeah, and I always think just plant forward. Let's just get those 5 fruits and vegetables a day. Making
Mhm.
priority, having a fruit and a vegetable with every single meal. It's amazing. So many people struggle with sugar addictions or with just really craving sweets. And I say this over and over. If all you did was add a fruit after every single meal, every time you ate lunch, you would finish it off, top it off with a piece of fruit, top off your dinner with a piece of fruit. It's amazing how all of a sudden those sugar cravings just go away because you prioritize the plants first. And you're not telling yourself you can't have those, but if you just make eating enough fiber, 95% of us are not eating enough fiber, period. Like, we're not eating enough fiber. And so prioritizing getting enough fiber, a lot of the other things that we're struggling with and trying to fight against actually just tend to go away.
True. Understood. So, on this, I'll come to Gil. You have spoken about the importance of mindset and the self-talk in staying consistent. What's your advice for uh, flipping negative self-talk into a more empowering narrative?
Yeah, and much props to Ali. I'm a father of 6, so I totally hear you on yeah. I hear you on the adversities that come with that. And part of that is, to your point, Avik, I mean, just embracing the adversities that are going to come through life. I like to say we need to self-inflict some adversities on ourselves so we're able to deal with the larger picture when real things happen, or more important things, bigger things. Like I spoke about with the early wake up time. And as Ali mentioned, when you have a family, a job, you have all these different factors in your life. I run a very strict program for myself, but as Ali said, built into it is flexibility.
Mm.
You have to realize that there's going to be things out of your control that affect your life. And that's when living conscience congruent is so important. Being in touch with the spiritual side, not just the mental and the physical, to follow the voice in there, to follow the universe guiding your path. When one thing happens, you embrace it and say, okay, I'm in this space. What's my next step? What do I do? I was supposed to do this at this time. I had it written down. I had it on the calendar. I do it every day at this time, but boom. Like Ali said, the kid's sick, the school called, whatever the case may be. What do I do next? Not get caught up in the negativity and the negative mindset of, oh, this throws everything off. This ruined the schedule. No, you're there for a reason. Go do the next best thing. And that's where the mindset comes in, with the positive outlook, telling yourself, hey, I'm built for this. I was already ready for this before this happened. I need that adversity. There's growth on the other side of it. Now, maybe something small, like, okay, I have to miss this window of what I had scheduled, but you're dealing with something that's more important at that time. The universe is delegating you to go deal with this other issue. You need to show up with the proper mindset and have already
Mm.
built that in to your self-talk every day. I'm prepared for whatever comes with this day. I'm ready for the challenges. I not only accept the challenges, but I embrace it. I'm going to embrace the adversity that's going to come with this day, knowing that the only thing that's going to stop me from growth is my attitude towards the adversity. There will be growth
Yeah.
going through the hard times. but how am I going to deal with it? Am I going to block the growth with a negative mindset, or am I going to embrace the process of getting through the adversity and growing through it and becoming a stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually person?
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. And so I'll come to Darlene, connecting about the body and the mind. So your work explores the deep connection between the body and the mind. So how can turning into our bodies help us catch the early signs of the burnout before it gets out of the control?
It's a really good question because most people aren't in tune with their body. You know, they just shove things in their mouth and they take a walk and they do whatever they do, but they don't really tune in. And what I found out is that sometimes, a lot of times, because of trauma or stress or anything that's happened to the physical body, whether that's accidents or abuse or surgeries, that the body has its own way of viewing that. And if it's not acknowledged in some way, it rebels. And so the sugar cravings come on, the inability to digest supplements comes on, like their whole body shifts because of that. And so when you acknowledge also where the pain comes from, and I'm big on Ho'opono for a lot of clients, the I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. Not necessarily to other people, even though that is really important, but it's to your body in these times that you've sometimes feels like the body feels like you betrayed it. So when you align with yourself with that, then it brings more connection to your body. And I would tell people to meditate, breathe, feel your body. What is your body telling you? Because it speaks in a very different but clear language. It's like, oh, I have a headache. Well, do I just need to take an Advil for that? Or do I need something else? Is my body saying that, yeah, I just had a really horrible conversation with my partner.
Mm.
Now I have a headache. So what is the feeling about that? What do you need to do? How do you compensate for that relationship with your body and the symptoms that may show up? So meditation does that, the breath work does that. All of that brings you into harmony with your body so that you can better understand it and work with it.
Wow, lovely. And also like on this, definitely one more thing. Uh, like for the listeners who are curious about this but skeptical, uh, can you share an example of how exploring past lives has led to a breakthrough?
Yeah. So there's many examples. The first one that comes up is actually a client that came in a couple weeks ago, and I was doing more hands-on work, which I normally don't do. I work online or on the phone. And she was dealing with a bleeding symptom, which at her age, when she was in her 70s, could have been a real issue.
Mm.
And we went back to, because she's very much into aligned with past lives, we went back to a past life where she was actually mutilated. And she went through that process of what she needed to do for those that were carrying on that perpetration, what she needed to say, standing up for herself, changing the timeline so that that didn't necessarily happen. And she stopped bleeding the next day after, I think it was 4 or 5 months that she was. So, that's always like, wow, that really works. I mean, I'm always surprised when something works at that level, and that's just one example of many times that the past life shows up. But what changes in that, whether it's a real physical symptom or an emotional block or a relationship issue, is that when you change your perception about it, when you can see it more clearly, when you can understand it, the dynamics of what you brought in this lifetime, when your perception changes, then you view that person or that situation very differently, and everything starts to come together in a very different format chemically in your body. Everything starts to change to align to that new perception. And I think that's the miracle of the alignment of the mind, body, and spirit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. And then so I'll come to Ali. Uh, Nutrition is such a key factor in how we feel physically, emotionally, and all. So, what do you think? I mean, what role does gut health play in avoiding the burnout and boosting energy levels?
Oh, your gut health is everything. I mean, 90% of serotonin is created in the gut. And so making sure that you're feeding the gut the correct foods is going to be important. It's going to give you so much more energy. And a lot of times, we prioritize all the things that everyone's telling you to be healthy, but if your gut were to talk to you and say, "Hey, guess what? I know what my absolute favorite food is. Want to know that
Yeah.
what serves me the most, and it's going to be fiber. That your gut microbes, they absolutely love fiber. It's their favorite food. And in fact, when they consume fiber, they produce what's called short chain fatty acids, which is acetate, butyrate, propionate. And all of these things go throughout your whole entire body and they help heal you. They help, protect your gut lining. They help reduce your risk of Alzheimer's, of cancer, of dementia, of all of these other things. And so it's something that it's not sexy to talk about. No one likes to talk about poop or fiber or, any of that. But it really is so important that we're getting enough fiber every day so that we can feel better. There's the gut brain connection. And so if your gut is happy, your brain is happy. And so just prioritizing enough fiber. And guess what? Fiber only comes from plants. The best source of fiber is not the fiber one bars. It's going to be
Mm.
just whole plant foods. And surprisingly, sometimes even if you are eating enough fruits and vegetables, including those whole grains and those beans, really is one of the best sources of fiber. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, and making that a priority. And then your gut will be happy. And you do have to be careful because if you're not used to eating enough fiber, you don't want to go all in. It's like if you were to go to work out at the gym, you hadn't been working out before, you're going to be really sore. And so same thing with your gut. You have to really slowly add more fiber. You can't just go from 0 to 100 or else you'll feel a lot of gas and a lot of bloating. And so if you can't handle broccoli right now, then eat like 2 broccoli trees. If you can't handle beans, then have just the littlest eighth a cup of beans, today, and then slowly add in a little bit more over time. And when people tell me like I can't do beans, I'm like, you just haven't trained your gut because you truly can train your gut to process all these foods. But your gut microbes need a chance to actually grow and thrive in that environment. So you just ease into it instead of go all in.
Mm. Okay. And so okay, so what are your top tips for improving the gut health?
My top tips for improving gut health, number one is eating sufficient fiber. So for men, that's going to be about 35 grams of fiber a day. For women, that's going to be at least 25 grams of fiber a day. So at least getting to that mark. And usually that's through just eating enough fruits and vegetables, whole grains, serving of whole grains. And then after that is sleep. You'd be surprised. You can eat a perfect diet, but if you're not getting enough sleep, and if you have unresolved trauma, kind of like what Darlene was talking about, there's a lot of other things that could be going on. And even if you're sleeping well, eating a perfect diet, if you have some forgiveness or some other things that you need to let go of, that's going to impact your health. And so, those things really are key. Fiber, sleep, and stress. And once that's in place, movement is also important. Gil talked about that. Moving your body in gentle ways too, even if it's just going for a walk after you eat. It's one of the best things you can do to help with your, digestion. As a Pilates instructor, I can't not say the importance of core strength, really squeezing your core and engaging those muscles the correct way. That's just going to be gently helping you in the process of digestion. And so, movement is key, but eh, anything you do, as long as you have, I think, a grateful heart as well, that just coming from that place is also going to support your gut.
Mm. Exactly, understood. Wow, lovely. And okay, so I'll come to Gil again. Um, so life throws curveballs and setbacks are obviously inevitable. So how do you coach people to bounce back when they feel like uh they have fallen off the wagon?
Well, it's going to happen. I mean, you're going to have setbacks. Nobody's perfect. So
Yeah.
going in there with the expectation that you're going to be perfect, that's a difficult one to hold yourself to, right? And when you hold yourself to that high of a standard and let yourself down, that's where the guilt, the shame comes into play, and that hurts. That can set you back miles. So You have to realize that with each setback, you have choices of how to react to everything. How are you going to react to it? It's not the end of the world. You need to do the next right thing. You move past that. Now, regret and the mistakes, the falling off of the wagon, as you said, those are a guideline for you. What's the result you got from that? Are you going to learn from that? It's the guideline. It's the roadmap for how to handle your life. In my case, it was dealing with substances. I have many vices, right? To what Alisia and Darlene have spoken about, eating. When I would get stressed out, I would eat myself to death. Processed foods, fast foods, you name it. Pour a bunch of alcohol, smoke myself away from the problems. And that's not dealing with any of the issues. You're not following the roadmap that the universe is trying to send you down. You have to listen to the regret and in the future, make the better decision. Nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody has a perfect past. We all have traumas and issues from the past, but the key to it, to finding that inner peace, is learning from them, not repeating the same mistakes over and over. Use the regret as a guideline, and then listen to your conscience as your compass. That's going to lead you on the path where you're going to identify your purpose. You drop all the vices, get some clarity, get your mind right, get your spirit, get some alignment, find your purpose, and then you can move forward. Now the regrets aren't something that's going to hold you back and give you mental health issues, give you depression, make you focus on that. You can realize, hey, I learned from that. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to be aligned with my purpose. And now I can listen to my conscience guide me the rest of the way. You can forgive yourself, as Darlene mentioned. You can have some inner peace, and you can have that self-love.
Understood. Mm. And so I'll come to Ali. So Ali, like, you have been open about your husband's health crisis and how it shaped your journey. So for someone who is dealing with a loved one's health challenges, how can they stay motivated to care for themselves?
Yeah, in fact, it's funny because the whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because my husband had a stroke. But as I help other women go through similar circumstances, I actually tell them, I know you're doing this for your husband, but you need to do it for you. You actually need to do this for you first. And you need to be okay. And then once your husband sees how well you are doing, then he'll be more motivated to improve his health, especially with spouses who really struggle.
Mm.
And so I think whenever we're serving, you hear the quote, like, you have to put on your own mask first in the airplane before you help others. It's the same thing. And even if you are wanting the rest of your family to make healthier choices, you have to be the example. You have to be doing such an incredible job of yourself, being so happy, fulfilled, having so much energy, losing the weight, even wanting to, like, once you focus 100% on yourself and really let go of the brain power of trying to fix other family members. Like, that's really honestly a huge part holding you back, is thinking that, but I want them to change. I want them to change. Like, no, 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 don't worry about that. You do you first. And then, they'll see that and be completely inspired by it and want to
Yeah,
keep going.
perfect, perfect. So that's really lovely. And one other thing, I mean, like, you mentioned that faith being a guiding force in your journey. So, how has that shaped your approach to health and balance?
Yeah, I love the Gil and Darlene, that we all have our different types of faith, feeling like that's such a huge part of it. And I think it is that for me, when trauma hits, that's when you really realize, like, I've got to ask a higher power. Like, I can't do this all, and I need help. And so when my husband had a stroke, it brought me back to when my dad passed away of a heart attack. And when he had died, I right before, when everything was going on, I was praying, like, please bless, he'll survive. Like, I really want him to have a second chance. And he didn't. But I do feel like that prayer in some way was answered through my husband, and he did survive, and he did get a second chance. And so I was willing to go all in. But then the next question is, there's so many different ways to be healthy. So what path do I choose? And sometimes we're confused. Like we lack wisdom. It's like there's so many different ways. And I think honestly, if you have the right intention, you could probably throw a dart at any healthy way of eating and improve your health, right? And do better. But for me and my family, when I asked God, I was led really to eat meat less, like to eat meat more sparingly. And I'm not a perfect vegan, but I do feel like that was what's best for me, for the health of my planet and for the health of just the animals. And I got that direction through God, and I know that other people feel different ways. But when you have a strong enough why, I feel like you can get through anyhow. And for me, it wasn't just knowing that that's a really great diet. It was really having that spiritual confirmation that keeps me solid in knowing that that's the path that I want to continue on and that I will continue on. And so, when you have a strong enough why, you can get through anyhow.
Wow, lovely, great, great. So, this is to all of you. Starting with Darlin. So today, the listeners who are listening today, what's the one piece of advice you would like to share?
Self-care, I think, is everybody's speaking about that today, and it's difficult in the clients that I work with because a lot of them are caretakers. And so to put yourself first, especially if you have 6 kids, which God bless you guys. Um, but, it's that place of knowing that you have to take care of your self first, they will follow. And in that place, what is self-care? What brings joy to your life? What do you need to let go of that doesn't serve you anymore? Where is your spiritual connection? And can you lean on that? Can you depend on that? Or do you have issues with God because maybe the way you were raised or what you believe about it? Then you need to address them so that there is that connection. There is no separation between you and your God or source or whatever you want to call that. So there's many avenues. Like Ali said, there's many avenues. If you just say, "Oh, I can do that. I can walk every day. I can do that."
Yeah.
Okay. Or you know what? I can put vegetables or eat a piece of fruit after. If I just do that, then you're at least making a statement that you matter. And when you matter, you're also connecting to spirit because that's what spirit wants. Spirit wants for us. God wants for us to know that we exist and that we want to be here, that we're taking accountability in being here. And so when you make one little movement that moves you out of I don't care and who cares, it doesn't matter. When you take one little movement out of that, it aligns you with your spiritual purpose. And then you can go from there. Add more.
Mm, lovely. And so, Gil or Ali, anyone?
Yeah, I think my biggest piece of advice, I had a friend ask me, "When was the last time you actually changed something?" 'Cause sometimes I get obsessed about how do people change? People aren't changing, you know? You want them, you wanna help them, but then they don't change, and you're just like, "Ah, how can I get
Yeah.
people to change?" And so one of my friends like, "Well, when was the last time you changed?" And I looked back and I realized like, oh, I kinda narrowed down a specific thing, and she asked, "How did you end up doing that?" Like, really, like, how? And we asked more and more questions, got a little bit deeper, and I realized it was love. I was able to replace something that was frustrating me with something else I and so the more you can bring love into it, whether it's just, if you love listening to podcasts, then go on a walk. You can love listening to the podcast as you go on the walk, like
Mhm.
if you can pair love into this or bring in more love for yourself. I love how Darlene's saying, ho'oponopono, where it's like, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Just pulling in more love is the best motivation. There's the saying that charity never faileth. Right? Charity really never faileth. Like if you can bring in more love, that's how you're going to get there. Not by being down on yourself and being like, dang it, I messed up. Might as well go all in, like it's if we can bring in more love and understanding and talk to ourselves like we would a little kid. I know with my kids, I'm not screaming and yelling at them if they made a dumb little mistake. It's like they need love. We all need more love. And so if you want to really stay on track and avoid burnout, then love yourself, love other people, send as much love as you can to others. And that's what's going to help you the most.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Gil.
me, it's what I coach is it's not always the first thing you need to do. But what's the first thing you need to stop doing? What do you need to remove from your life? For me, it was the vices, and I highly advise. That's what I coach all my clients to lose all the vices. And you know something's a vice if it has negativity attached to it, if it has regret attached to it, if you have remorse attached to whatever you're doing. Remove that from your life. That's the first step towards your happiness. And once you remove the negativity, you remove the vices, the things you're turning to, instead of dealing with whatever issue you have, you're turning to these vices to ignore, to get through, to just float through things. Remove all the vices, and then you can begin building yourself back up. And don't hesitate to get a coach, get a mentor.
Yeah.
Find someone who's living the life you want to live and talk to them. Believe me, if people like Allie, people like Darlene, people like myself, we feel so strong. We're so passionate about this and so aligned with our purpose. We're waiting to help the next person because we know what's worked for us and we want to share that with the world. We're here to make your life a better situation. We're not against that. We're not going to be annoyed. People who have that passion and are aligned with their purpose are just waiting to share it with you. So don't hesitate to find a coach or a mentor that can help you develop yourself. And
Yeah.
then your daily habits will fall in to where you're building your mind, body, and soul. And that's so key to stay well-rounded. As Darlene mentioned, the balance in your life is super key for you to have happiness, peace, and love.
Wow, lovely. Great. Wow, what an incredible discussion today. So thank you so much for sharing all of your insights. And I have to say, like Gil reminded us the power of disciplined habits and a warrior mindset, whereas Darlin showed us the profound connection between our emotions and the physical health, and um, how understanding ourselves on a deeper level can lead to the clarity. And whereas Ali shared the practical life changing strategies for building a healthier habits through nutrition and the movement. So, dear listeners, burnout is something we all face at some point in our life. But today's conversation proves that with the right mindset, tools, and the support, we can all overcome it and thrive. So, this is to all of you, dear listeners. Like, what's the one small step you can take today to prioritize your health, whether it's starting a new habit, or trying a plant based meal, or taking time to reflect on what's truly holding you back? Do let us know your thoughts, your whichever you feel like. Definitely do let us know on our social media or on your favorite podcast platform. And thank you so much for joining us on Healthy Waves. And do not forget to subscribe, share this episode with a friend or someone who needs to hear this, and connect with us on social media for more tips and the inspiration. So until next time, keep riding those healthy waves and living your best life. So with this, thank you so much.